I have never advocated war except as means of peace. So seek peace, but prepare for war. Because war never changes. War is like winter, and winter is coming. That enlightening quote is attributed to Ulysses S. Grant, commanding general for the Union Army during the American Civil War, and the 18th President of the United States. And that riveting statement of his contains nothing but truth. A large chapter of the history of our species is written in the blood of war. From the legendary Trojan War in ancient Greece to the 11th century Christian Crusades, to the utterly devastating world wars, humanity is no stranger to warfare. And while the passage of time has brought immense progress in the realms of human knowledge, culture, science, technology, philosophy, and societal infrastructure, the nature of war remains largely the same. Land, air, and sea-based battles fought for power and control. But this might all be about to change very soon. If the current shifts in scientific pursuits and political objectives are any indication, the next major war could very well be fought beyond the confines of our planet, in space itself. To understand how and why the future of warfare is heading into the realm of deep space, we need to look at the current geopolitical climate surrounding today's dominant global superpowers, and how it is closely connected to the ongoing rapid pace of advancements in science and technology, particularly in the field of space exploration. Furthermore, we need to study the underlying objectives of space exploration beyond the simple optics of national pride and show of technological prowess. And lastly, we need to define America's unique relationship with space exploration and what winning the space race means for the future of the world's eminent economic crown-bearer. Let us take a look at how all these factors weave the thread that will potentially culminate in future interplanetary wars in a galaxy not so far away. Reason 1 of geopolitics and moonshots. Looking at the current geopolitical state of our world today, we see three dominant superpowers: the United States of America, China, and Russia. While there are as many as 195 countries spread out through the surface of our planet, nearly all aspects of the state of global economics and politics are impacted, either directly or indirectly, by the actions and interactions between the three prime nations. The United States sees China's rapidly growing economic might as a threat to its current global financial dominance and national security. Conversely, China sees the US economic might as an oppressive force that seeks to undermine its economic development. The case with Russia is a bit different, however. The United States, alongside the rest of the Western world, see the former Soviet nation as a political aggressor that uses its military might to destabilize other nations, especially those allied with the West. Russia, on the other hand, sees the US, and by and large NATO, as a serious threat to its political and economic stability, as well as its overall sovereignty. You might be wondering what all of this has to do with Star Wars-esque space wars of the future. Well, as we know, aside from the traditional avenues of political and economic warfare, these three nations are also vying for supremacy in the current space race. NASA's Artemis mission is taking man back to the moon to establish a colony on the lunar surface by 2025, with the ultimate goal of landing the first humans on Mars by 2033 and subsequently establishing a permanent colony there. Meanwhile, China is making dramatic progress with its own space agency, racing NASA to the moon to establish a lunar research station before 2030, and simultaneously aiming to beat America to Mars. On the Eastern European front, Russia, a veteran of space exploration, is also getting involved, as shown by its recent Luna 25 moon landing attempt, the first such mission by the Russians in nearly 50 years. But although Russia's moon exploration ambitions are not dampened by the failure of the mission, international sanctions as a result of the war in Ukraine have crippled its technology infrastructure, thus limiting its overall competitiveness against the likes of the US and China. So what is Russia doing to still stay relevant in the space race? Well, they're partnering with China to build a lunar research station together, and with India for cooperation in future space missions. Through this cutthroat race, each of the three global superpowers has something to prove to the world: their technological, political, and economic superiority over others. And with so much at stake, warfare in space over cosmic territories might not be that far-fetched to imagine, which could range from infrastructure sabotage or targeting of satellites and space stations to full-scale combat scenarios on a distant planet or moon. Reason 2. Whoever controls the resources controls the future. Despite its importance on the global geopolitical stage, a showcase of power and technological prowess alone do not explain why these superpowers are spending billions of dollars in a race to expand mankind's presence to other celestial bodies in our solar system. As it turns out, space is brimming with valuable resources strewn across the various celestial bodies throughout our galaxy. Take, for example, the Moon, one of the two key bodies of interest in the current space race. To the casual observer, the lunar surface may seem like nothing more than a giant white ball of dust with craters. In reality, however, the lunar surface is blessed with substantial natural resources, many of which could support future missions across the cosmos by reducing the cost of space exploration. Chief among these abundant resources are water, oxygen and helium-3, a potential future fuel source for rockets and spaceships. Apart from this, the Moon also houses important metals such as iron, titanium, aluminum, silicon and rare earth elements. And wherever untapped natural resources are involved, conflicts over ownership and control aren't far behind. In fact, NASA's Administrator Bill Nelson has expressed concern over the possibility of China controlling territory and resources on the Moon if it succeeds in landing astronauts and building a lunar base before the US. Nelson's concerns over China using the Moon for military objectives come in light of the alleged photo evidence of the Asian superpower establishing a military presence in the disputed territory of the Spratly Islands in the South China Sea. The issue here again, as with the vast majority of conflicts in human history, is one of power and control. Who has the right over the use of resources on the Moon, Mars and other celestial bodies? Do these celestial bodies belong to whoever colonizes them first, or it is rightfully owned by the collective of humanity and to be shared by all? Who decides the borders of space territories? Who will enforce those borders? All of these are legitimate questions that need to be answered as we chart our course across the Milky Way galaxy. And if a mutually acceptable solution to these challenges is not found, and distrust between the spacefaring superpowers grows, we might very well see an eternal war for control of space. Reason 3. The American space romanticism. Lastly, we come to the ideological and symbolic importance of space exploration that is unique to America. When Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong took their first steps on the Moon in 1969, it not only cemented America's position as the undisputed leader in space exploration, but also led to the forming of a new cultural zeitgeist in the hearts and minds of the American people, where exploring the cosmos became as American an endeavor to undertake as playing American football or joining the Army or Navy. And although NASA has not sent astronauts to the Moon in nearly 50 years, the initiation of the Artemis program has once again ignited the spark of romanticism for space exploration within America, ushering in an imminent return to the glory days of early space exploration. The success of Artemis will define the future of America on the global stage, and likely shape the future of geopolitics as a whole. With so much on the line here, America needs to ensure it once again wins the space race, thus securing the cultural identity of technological innovation and the spirit of scientific curiosity and exploration that came to define what it meant to be an American nearly half a century ago. In fact, this endeavor is so important to the red, white and blue nation that it has created its own Space Force, a relatively new branch of the US Armed Forces and the world's only dedicated independent Space Force. The core objectives of the Space Force include preserving unrestricted access and freedom to operate in space, defending its research and commercial activities in space, and projecting military strength as a strategic tool for national prosperity and security. With these core objectives in mind, the US Space Force is ready to defend American interests in space by any means necessary. With all that said, it is inevitable that the future of global conflict will be shaped in outer space, an ever-expanding fabric filled with trillions of galaxies and near-infinite resources. Although we are quite a long way off from space warfare as seen in most science fiction media, there will be inevitable conflict between nations as they race for cosmic territorial control in this interplanetary gold rush that will shape the future of human civilization. The only question left to ask is, are we ready? That is a question we shall further explore in a future video. Thank you for watching, my fellow cosmic adventurers. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the notification bell, and subscribe to the channel for more videos that deal with some of the most interesting stories in space exploration.